What you're watching is what I suppose you could consider part 2 to the case replacement on my daily use computer. It's got nothing to do with this, though. The original idea for that video was to replace the case and then use the old case over with my capture machine, which is sitting over there, which you probably can't really see. It's underneath the Nintendo there. And then also deal with a couple of others. That one and that one. So there would have been 4 machines total, but the actual video that I recorded of this ran north of 45 minutes, and I didn't really feel like uploading an hour-and-a-half long video. Roughly. I don't know how long this video is going to be just yet, because it's not quite done. I didn't feel like doing that, so I split it into 2 parts. So we're going to join the video in progress of the Capture PC, that thing over there, and this one right here. Stay tuned! I guess it was sealed AF at one point. No, not anymore. So this is what's left. And what I'm going to do with this is right there is my bottom of the barrel thoroughly scraped build for a Capture PC, if you can remember back that far to that video. So the hardware from this is going to go into this case, and then this is actually going to get the old hardware that was in this case. So that's that BioStar G31 motherboard. But what's going to happen is this thing that's sitting right here, which is not hooked up to anything right now, this is going to get, or I'm going to take the power supply and use that in this power supply that's sitting right here, which is nothing to write home about, is going to end up in that case, the one on the left there, and then the Antec power supply is going to stay in this, because this originally had one of those Orion power supplies in it, and those things are junk. I still have that power supply, and it apparently, I would assume anyway, still works, but it's way too junky for anything that I'd ever want to do, so I'm just going to leave it out of here. And I'll put the original hardware back in this. I'm going to find a hard drive. I've got several of them sitting around. I'll probably put Linux on it. I might even do that in this video, make this quite the video epic, you know. Thank you for 4,000 subscribers. Here's like 3 different projects all in one video, but yeah, this was that bottom of the barrel machine. It's just an i7 2600. And whatever random nonsense was laying around. Antec SU380 power supply. Yeah, I don't really trust that. That's why it's staying in here. I'm also not even going to reuse this motherboard. I have a different motherboard I'm going to use. But I will take the video card. Obviously, I'm going to take the capture device, which I'll probably have to replace soon because I want to put 64-bit Windows on this. And then I'll take the 2 drives down there and the optical drive. All of those will come out. So we'll use that one optical drive, and then I actually brought up 2 more. One of these is going to go in this case, and the other one is going to go in here. For no particularly good reason, I just want 2 different optical drives in this one. I'd rather find the blanking plate that's supposed to go in the front of this case, but I have no idea where it would have gone, so again, we're going to make do with what we've got. And then it's going to get one of these motherboards. I've showed these a lot on my channel. I have a whole bunch of these motherboards sitting around. I actually made a half-hearted effort at selling a couple of these, but it didn't really go all that well. You know, people just, I guess they're worthless, I don't know, but anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and move all this crap. I'll get out the crap that I need from this, set it aside, I'll get the other one out. This is actually the old Capture PC that I was using for the longest time, that I stopped using because it was just too underpowered to do the work that I needed to get done. This is a Gigabyte motherboard. DDR2 1200. I've never seen that in my life. But that's definitely overclocked. It's got one of these crappy deep cool coolers on it, but it works. I had to put a Be Quiet fan on it because the original fan stopped working. So I'm gonna pull the power supply out of this and get it out of my face. I think I'm also gonna pull the two SATA cables. Here's the motherboard installed on the motherboard tray. Funny enough, this case has come full circle. The story behind this is that this would have originally had like an Asus P5LD2 motherboard on it with like a Pentium D or something. And in 2014, they were all upgraded with off-the-shelf Asus motherboards. Not this one exactly, not really this model, but they would have been upgraded with these. They had i5s on them, i5 4440s. I've got a few of those floating around. I think I'm still using one in one of my file servers. It's still going strong, but I really probably need to replace it at some point. Probably should blow this thing out with the air compressor. Look at that nice carpet. I hope this motherboard actually works, because it can be hit or miss with these. These are really, really quite bad when it comes down to things not working. Alright, there it is in place. It has 16 gigs of RAM, which is going to be quite the waste because this thing is running 32-bit Windows. At some point I'd like to upgrade it to 64, but it's going to need a new capture card before I can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and put the power supply in here, junk up this case with the power supply, and I'm going to plug this thing in and give it a power test before I get too crazy with it. You know, installing video and installing all the other junk, because I want to make sure it's actually going to work. Wow, that was a nightmare trying to get that in there because of the giant Medusa hanging off of the end of this power supply. It's got a lot of wiring on it, none of which I actually need. So, well, this might be a candidate for a smaller power supply at some point. But, gotta work with what I've got. See if it even powers on. It's not very promising so far. Nope, I got no power. Okay, well I missed it. But it is running. So I don't know what happened. Wonder if this power supply is getting ready to fail. Probably. Let me go get the other system up here and get all the parts transferred. Alright, let's see if it works with the big video card. Please don't go bang. Nothing. It is doing absolutely nothing, man. And all I've changed about it is put that video card in place. Interesting. Why you no work? Well, that was good. Oh, now it worked. Okay. Question of the day. Do both these optical drives eject? Oh, that one doesn't. Oh, now it does. That one doesn't. Now, whatever. Who cares? Okay, this stupid thing is in place. Let's see what it does when I flip the power switch. Okay. ASUS. Inspiring innovation. Persistent perfection. Yeah, I don't think so. Did it lock up because it's a piece of junk? It might have. Oh no, here it comes. Come on, boot Windows, you pile of garbage. These damn Asus motherboards. Hope this mouse works. I think this was the mouse that I had on it before. Eh, it's working. I don't know why I've got the video as screwed up as it is. Of course, by the time I start the camera, it screws up. Wow, why are we behaving so poorly right now? It said something about device driver not being successfully installed. I don't know why. I guess I'm never going to know what it was because it's gone. Well, good for it. Alright, is it going to make me reactivate? Yeah, it is. Wonder if it'll let me just do that. Or if it's going to kick out my friggin' activation. Oh no, it worked. So these are the benchmark scores that it got before. Weak point is the disk. So we'll let that run. Let's see what we get now. Look at that. We went up to 7.2, and I have no idea why. Because both those machines are SATA 6 gigabit per second, so there should have been no difference. The video didn't change. I think we got some bumps up on the CPU and RAM, but I think we're good on this thing. I may check and see if there's updates. Doesn't look like it. We'll see what happens. I may install Legacy Update on this just to get it working properly, but I don't think you need that on a fully up-to-date Windows 7 install at this point. That might change at some point in the future, but for right now I think it's okay. I hope my capture card is actually working. I'm not even going to check it, because I'm ballsy like that. I just want to get this project moving because I need to get these computers out the door, so... Okay, this thing. So what I'm going to do, pull this motherboard out, this Intel board. It's just some, I think this actually is a DQ67 SWB3 with an i7 2600. It's decent, but it's outmoded. So pull it out, and I'm going to put something even more outmoded in it. This is the motherboard out of the case originally. I'm just going to put it back, because why not? I mean, what's there to lose, right? So I'll just put it back, and I'll figure out what I'm going to do about the optical drive, because I think at the heart of it, this is eventually just going to get an IDE drive, but for the time being, well, we're going to do something stupid. But hey, if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid, so there's that. Okay, I'm actually going to go ahead, and I forgot to cable it up, but I'm going to go ahead and power this thing on. Just here on the bench, as is, using the onboard video. I changed the RAM on this BioStar motherboard. This is actually the original board from this case. The G31-M7 TE. Like I said, I want to see this thing work before I invest too much time in it, especially that RAM. It's not an upgrade, it's still only 2 gigs, but it's 2 gigs across 2 modules, so in theory it'll run dual channel if this motherboard isn't so cheap that it's only got a single channel on it. Of course, this is the RAM that came out of it. 2 gig. DDR2 800. Would have been nice to have a matched set of those, but you can't get everything for your $21.99, I guess. No explosion yet. Where's the power switch? It's on. Beep. I think we are working. Maybe. Alright. So we're good on that. So that RAM is a go. So now I'm going to go ahead and install the drives and a video card. Alright. Here's the first upgrade. Is this big ATI Radeon video card of some description. I don't know what it is. But I'm going to use that because this power supply has a PCI Express power connector on it, and I was kind of surprised by that actually. But it has one, so we'll go ahead and use it. This is the other bit of engineering that I was talking about earlier. You know, if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid. This power supply only has 2 SATA connectors on it, and they're spaced close together. So rather than make this thing look stupid by putting the optical drive at the bottom here and then the hard drive way up top where it'll interfere with the video card, I went ahead and I just did this. Because this is a cheap case, you can get away with that. When I get a Molex to SATA adapter, or alternatively put an IDE optical drive in here, which is probably what's actually going to happen, I can move that hard drive back down here where it belongs. Okay, we're ready for power up. This is actually the hard drive that came out of the system. It's a 1TB Western Digital Caviar Green. So I figure it's just going to end up back in here because I don't have a whole lot of use for 1TB hard drives anymore. So here we go. We have a Apple mouse because this is what presented itself in terms of USB mice. We are really running out of things here. But I've got the video connected. Let's juice it up. See what happens. Where's the power switch? There it is. Still working. CPU temperature is 43 degrees. It's actually running Windows 7. I do have the connectors in there properly. Obviously there's no video driver loaded. But the mouse and everything is working. Oh yeah, I remember this thing. This was Kate's machine. It's actually going to install a video driver? That's amazing. Well, it's not connected to the network, I might add. I don't think this had a video card in it when I picked it up. But I might be surprised to learn when I go and rewatch that video of this thing later that, well, I did. Alright, I'm not going to sit here and let this thing wait. Or let you wait on this thing. I'm going to let it load all its stuff, and then I'll come back. Alright, it's now the next day. This thing is backed up. And we're going to make some changes and install an operating system. I've already made one change. I went back to the single 2GB RAM stick because the system actually crashed with these installed. So, one of them, at least one of them has a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the optical drive and I'm going to move the hard drive down here. I'm going to replace this optical drive with this unit. It's an Asus model DVD-E608, manufactured in 2000. Yes, it's got a beige faceplate, but it's IDE. It's one of the few IDE drives I still have sitting around. The irony is I just saw one sitting underneath the bed. Let me go grab that one. Yeah, this one has a black faceplate. I think I would rather use that, but the problem is just look at it. So I have no idea if the drive is actually any good. I guess I don't really care that much. I just really need the drive in there for looks as opposed to anything else. Okay, so there's the one black faceplate. See what happens here. IDE configuration. Yep, there we go. So 1 TB hard drive and a Samsung DVD. Okay. It ejects and works. Alright. So now what we'll do is we'll install an OS. We're going to install Peppermint OS. It's largely academic with only 2 gigs of RAM in the system, but Peppermint is supposed to be a lighter weight operating system. We'll see if that's actually the case. You can't even really tell that that loading bar is moving. You sort of can. Now, I'll let this boot and then I'll come back. Or maybe I won't have to wait. Maybe it... Yeah, here it comes. I drop all the screws all over the floor. Welcome to Peppermint. Yep, we're gonna just go straight to the installer here. Okay. I'm waiting for one module. Okay. There we go. That's correct. US English keyboard. Erase the disk and install. I'll give it a swap file with hibernation support. Ext4. Bootloader should be there. It's going to erase the disk and install. Okay, so there's our details. We'll hit next, and we'll install. So hopefully that doesn't take too long. We'll get an operating system out of the deal. Well, typical Linux. Typical Linux. I don't know why we're having a problem. It doesn't say anything. I'm going to try rebooting it. I don't think it's going to be successful. Where's the option to even reboot the system? Guess it's this. It's the log out. Let's just reboot it and see what happens. I don't think it's going to have worked. Didn't even ask me to unplug the boot media. Well, there's a bootloader. Good for it. The command that failed was update system. On some distributions you can hit the down arrow and get more information while the system is starting, but I guess not this one. See the hard drive LED beaming up against the desk there. So I'll give it a couple of years, we'll see if it boots. Oh, maybe I don't have to give it a couple of years. Well, it seemed to have installed anyway. And honestly, it is no faster than Linux, or no faster than Linux, no faster than Windows 7 was on this same hardware. Welcome. And we'll close that. And the thing that I think I want to run is the update tool. If I know how to do that. Does it have an update tool? I thought it did. I thought it used the same one that Linux Mint used. Peppermint update. Guess now it's a command line tool. Oh, it's not even using apt anymore. It's using something called Nala. It's actually kind of neat. So we'll let that do its thing. Yeah, we're definitely having a problem here. Not sure why. Really not sure why. Can I click on that and open a web browser? Wonder if that's being blocked. SSB manager. What the F is this? No, I don't want that. Okay, I don't know. Alright, we're gonna stop that. Which hopefully isn't gonna break something. It probably will, but why does my menu keep disappearing? We'll come back to this welcome to Peppermint thing. We'll open up suggested. And we'll install some browsers. Let's see. Probably Chromium. Of course it wants a frickin' password. Show the output. Installing Chromium browser. What if I can turn on... I don't need the KDE one. I don't know if it's actually installing it or not, because it doesn't say anything. Okay, so I did manage to get the web browser installed. Chromium is here. There's nothing really to see. It's working just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this off. Probably should install a fan in the back of this case, just for airflow purposes, but who cares? It's really just basically going to be a shelf queen anyway. Get this thing off of here and work on the next one. Alright, here's this one, with this Thermal Master power supply. I think this system also has an IDE connection on it. Yeah, there's an IDE right down there. No, that's a floppy. The IDE is right there, which you can't see, but I'm not going to use that. So I grabbed an adapter to hook up that drive. I think that drive is hooked up. Yeah, it should be. Turn it on here. Take our USB stick, put it in the USB port. And what's happening? It has locked up. Good sign. Good sign. So one of the reasons why I replaced this machine in the first place was that it had weird random problems like this. I don't know if there's something wrong with the video card or what. Turn it off, and we'll turn it back on. Okay, this is really weird. Oh, there it goes. E8400. Memory runs at dual channel interleaved. Is it going to go any farther? Is there something wrong with that hard drive? I'm starting to get a little suspicious here. turn it off. I'll pull the hard drive. We'll try it again. And it's not seeing the keyboard. Ah. Nope. We've got a problem. Okay, it sees the keyboard now. Oh, there it goes. Go into setup. Set this up. I'm going to have to replace the battery. Yeah, it's going to need a new battery. So we'll change that out. And I'll figure out what to do about this hard drive situation. Alright, let's try this. See what happens. I'm using a DVD because for whatever reason the CD-ROM wouldn't actually create. Or, sorry, the USB stick. Nope, it's not working. Of course it's not working. Stupid. Okay, I was able to get the USB to work. This is supposed to power on. Is it dead? Well, that's good. Like, what happened? Stupid. Okay, well, I got it running again. Let me go ahead and put this battery back. Because I had to pull the battery. It'll turn off. It's probably not going to come back on now. There it goes. Now it's working. I don't understand. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Computers are stupid sometimes, I'm telling you what. What motherboard is this, anyway? Oh, it's not even seeing my USB stick. What a piece of friggin' garbage. What is this motherboard? This is an EP45-DS3L. Alright, why are you not seeing my USB stick, you junko thing? You know, if this were like a 286, I wouldn't be getting nearly as frustrated with it, but it's not. USB, it is seeing it. Oh, you stink. Right? We'll see if it'll just boot to it. Dynamic energy saver. Work, damn it. Might go AWOL on this thing. Of course, I already have. That's why the side panel is busted. SysLinux. Holy crap. I'll just run the live CD. This is supposed to be PC Linux OS. Choose your keyboard layout. Okay. It's KDE Plasma Desktop. Don't have a lot of experience with this because I've never really been a fan of KDE Plasma. So far it's running like absolute dog crap. Hopefully it's better off the hard drive. So I'll give it another 100 years and maybe it'll load. Holy crap, a desktop. I gave up on PC Linux OS. It did not get past that screen. And I tried the load from RAM option, which is probably a bad option because this only has 4 gigs of RAM in it, but it got to a cursor and then stopped. So this is what's called Calculate Linux. I have no idea what this really is, but this is another KDE desktop environment system, and it's something different. So we'll give it a try and see how it performs. Okay, I believe that we are now installing. And hopefully, this doesn't take too terrifically long. It's about 10:20 p.m. right now. Alright, we have completed, and it was only about 10 minutes. Not bad. Would you like to reboot your computer now? I love that button that says break the process. Wonder if that's a translation thing. Yes, reboot. Okay. Pull this USB stick out. Let's see if it installed properly. It looks like it did. Booting Calculate Linux Desktop KDE. Hope this will run with only 4 gigs of RAM. Of course, it'd be way better than the other one that only had 2 gigs, but... At some point, this is going to get a new case. In fact, I think I might put this into that Antec case that's sitting in the closet right now that used to be my YouTube upload server. I need to move my desk because I want to rearrange that so that it's easier to access all that stuff, but the problem being there's way too much crap. So I'm gonna figure out how I'm going to do this. I don't know if I'm gonna do that tonight because it's 10 o'clock on a Sunday. I really should be thinking about getting to bed so I can get up for work in the morning. Okay. Now that's not very promising looking. But we'll trudge onwards. Easy Linux from the source. Yeah, not a high performer. This would be better with an SSD, but I'm not going to use an SSD in this. I'm not wasting an SSD on this. I got a few thousand of them now, so it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal, but... future problems. If I use the case I'm thinking about, I can't really use an SSD because that mounting on that case is not conducive to a 2.5 to 3.5 inch adapter. KDE Plasma Desktop. It's extremely hot in here. 27 degrees. Not sure why it's so hot. But here we go. What's this program? The strawberry. It's music player. Okay. I need to see if I can find where you would set up the auto login, because I would like to have the auto login on this system. No, I don't know where you configure that, so I guess it's not going to have that. It's kind of stupid. But that's the way it is. Let's try running the updater and see what happens. You do not have a certificate. What do I need that for? Oh, so you can't even update the doggone thing without going through all this trouble. Okay, well, that's very, very typical of Linux. Okay, believe it or not, the solution that I found was to run the updater as root from the terminal. Apparently you can't just do it from the console program. I don't know if something isn't configured correctly or what's going on there, but that is mildly annoying. But yeah. I think I'm going to call the video at that. You know, I don't think there's really much else that I could think of to say that's really going to be of much use. That looks awfully red on the camera, but it's blue. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure that some people will probably want me to run benchmarks and programs and do some testing and do a little bit more, but I think this video, number one, is more than long enough. And number two, I gotta get to some other projects. I have a bunch of other things that I need to work on, I need to get done. So we'll call it there. And, well, there you go. There's a bunch more computers that now have had operating systems installed, work done, etc., etc. This is a candidate for a new case, obviously, because this is not very tenable, but for now, good night.